What if I told you that something sitting quietly in your kitchen right now could be the difference between waking up sharp or slowly losing your memory, your independence, and even your identity? It sounds dramatic, but neurologists have been warning about this for years. After age 50, your brain begins to shrink faster. Connections weaken. Toxins build up overnight. And if nothing interrupts that process, it accelerates silently. You may not notice it today. Maybe you forget a name, misplace your keys, walk into a room and pause, wondering why you're there. Small things, easy to ignore, but these are not random. They are early signals. And here's the part that most people don't realize. What you do in the final hour before bed has a powerful effect on how your brain repairs itself while you sleep. Doctors now confirm that certain natural compounds, found in a few specific fruits, can activate your brain's overnight cleanup system, reduce inflammation, and even support memory restoration while you sleep. In this video, we're counting down 6 of the most powerful fruits you can eat before bed, each backed by science, each more impactful than the last. And the number 1 fruit? It's shocking how effective it is. Some researchers have compared its compounds to early-stage neuroprotective treatments, but very few people are using it correctly. Before we start, I want you to do something simple. Tell me your age in the comments. Not for me, for you. Because once you see how these changes affect your brain at different stages of life, everything will start to make sense. And you'll know exactly how urgent this is for you. Now let's begin. Number 6. You've probably seen it 100 times in the store. Small, dark, almost forgettable. But this fruit contains compounds that have been shown to slow brain aging by up to 2.5 years in some studies. We're talking about blueberries. At first glance, they don't seem like anything special. But inside each one is a powerful group of antioxidants called anthocyanins. These compounds cross the blood-brain barrier, a defense system that blocks most substances, and directly interact with brain cells. Here's why that matters. As you age, your brain becomes more vulnerable to oxidative stress. This is essentially damage caused by unstable molecules that attack your cells. Over time, this damage builds up and contributes to memory loss, slower thinking, and even diseases like Alzheimer's. In one long-term study, adults over 60 who consumed blueberries regularly showed significantly slower cognitive decline compared to those who didn't. In fact, their memory function was closer to someone years younger. Now imagine this happening while you sleep. During deep sleep, your brain activates what scientists call the glymphatic system. Think of it as your brain's cleaning crew. It flushes out waste proteins, including beta-amyloid, the same substance strongly linked to Alzheimer's disease. But here's the problem. If your brain is inflamed or under oxidative stress, this cleaning system doesn't work as efficiently. Blueberries help reduce that inflammation, allowing your brain to clean itself more effectively overnight. I remember reading about a man named Khalid, 64 years old. He started noticing he couldn't recall simple things, like where he parked his car. His father had Alzheimer's, so every small lapse terrified him. He made one simple change. Every night, about an hour before bed, he ate a small bowl of blueberries. After a few months, he said something surprising. It wasn't just memory, it was clarity. He felt sharper in conversations, less foggy in the mornings. Was it magic? No, it was biology. Now here's where it gets serious for you. After age 50, your brain's ability to fight oxidative stress drops significantly. That means the same level of damage that once took years now happens faster. If you're not actively supporting your brain, you're passively allowing it to decline. But here's the key. Don't just eat blueberries randomly during the day. Timing matters. Eating them in the evening, especially 60 to 90 minutes before sleep, aligns their anti-inflammatory effects with your brain's natural repair cycle. And there's one more trick most people miss. Combine blueberries with a small amount of healthy fat, like a few almonds or a spoon of yogurt. This helps your body absorb more of the beneficial compounds. Simple, small, but powerful. Now let's move to number 5. This one is even more surprising because many people avoid it at night. It's often labeled as too sugary or not good before bed. But that belief may be costing your brain one of the easiest repair tools available. We're talking about bananas. Yes, bananas, but not for the reason you think. Bananas are rich in vitamin B6, magnesium, and a unique amino acid called tryptophan. When you consume tryptophan, your body converts it into serotonin, and then into melatonin, the hormone that regulates sleep. Why does this matter for your brain? Because poor sleep is one of the fastest ways to accelerate brain aging. Research shows that just 1 week of disrupted sleep can significantly increase the accumulation of harmful proteins in the brain. Over time, this dramatically raises the risk of cognitive decline. Bananas help stabilize this process. In one study, individuals who consumed tryptophan-rich foods before bed experienced improved sleep quality and reduced nighttime awakenings. And better sleep doesn't just make you feel rested. It directly enhances memory consolidation, the process where your brain stores and organizes information from the day. Let me tell you about Mia, 58. She wasn't worried about memory at first. Her problem was sleep. She would wake up 2 or 3 times a night. Every morning, she felt exhausted, foggy, irritable. Her doctor suggested something simple: a banana about an hour before bed. She was skeptical, but within 2 weeks, her sleep became deeper, more consistent, and something unexpected happened. Her focus improved. She stopped losing track of conversations. She felt present again, because when your sleep improves, your brain repairs better. Now here's the risk you need to understand. As you age, your natural melatonin production drops. That means falling asleep becomes harder, and staying asleep becomes even harder. And without deep sleep, your brain never fully completes its nightly repair cycle. This creates a dangerous loop. Poor sleep leads to brain damage. Brain damage leads to worse sleep, and it spirals. Bananas interrupt that cycle, but there's a right way to use them. Don't eat them right before lying down. Give your body time, about 60 minutes, to process the nutrients and begin the conversion process. And here's a powerful synergy tip. Pair your banana with a small source of protein, like a few walnuts. This helps stabilize blood sugar and enhances tryptophan absorption into the brain. You're not just eating a fruit. You're triggering a biochemical chain reaction that supports deep sleep and deeper brain repair. And we're only getting started, because the next fruit on this list has been linked to reduced brain inflammation at a level that surprised even researchers. And most people have never considered eating it before bed. Now listen carefully, because number 4 is where things begin to shift from helpful to essential. This fruit has been quietly studied for its ability to calm brain inflammation so effectively that some researchers now believe it could play a role in protecting against long-term neurodegenerative damage. And yet, most people either ignore it or eat it at the wrong time. We're talking about cherries, specifically tart cherries. Here's what makes them different. Tart cherries are one of the very few natural food sources of melatonin, not just compounds that help your body produce it, actual, usable melatonin. But that's only part of the story. They're also rich in polyphenol, plant compounds that reduce inflammation and oxidative stress inside the brain. And unlike many other foods, these compounds remain active during the night, precisely when your brain needs them most. In a clinical study, adults who consumed tart cherry juice before bed experienced significantly improved sleep duration and quality. But what caught researchers off guard was something deeper. Markers of inflammation in the body dropped noticeably. And when inflammation drops, your brain becomes far more efficient at clearing out toxic proteins overnight. Let me tell you about a retired teacher named Stephen, 67. He had always been sharp, organized, quick with words. But over the past year, something changed. He began forgetting lesson plans he had taught for decades. He struggled to recall familiar names. His biggest fear wasn't aging. It was losing himself. His daughter introduced him to tart cherry juice. 1 glass in the evening, about an hour before bed. Within weeks, his sleep improved. But more importantly, he noticed something subtle. His mind felt quieter, less scattered, more focused. This is what reduced inflammation feels like in real life. Now here's the danger for you. After 50, chronic low-grade inflammation becomes almost constant in the body. You may not feel it like pain, but it's there, slowly interfering with your brain's communication systems. Left unchecked, this inflammation is strongly associated with diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. And here's the worst part. It builds silently. No warning. No clear symptoms. Until it's too late. Tart cherries help interrupt that process. But again, timing is everything. You want to consume them in the evening, when your body is preparing for its natural melatonin release. This amplifies the effect, helping you fall asleep faster and stay in the deeper stages of sleep longer. And here's a synergy tip most people miss. Combine tart cherries with a calming nighttime routine, dim lights, no screens, minimal stimulation. Why? Because light exposure can block melatonin production, canceling out the very benefit you're trying to create. You're not just eating fruit. You're aligning your biology with your brain's repair cycle. Now let's go deeper. Number 3 is where things start to get a little uncomfortable, because it challenges what most people believe about sugar, fruit, and nighttime eating. This fruit is often misunderstood. Some avoid it completely. Others overconsume it without understanding its impact. But used correctly, it becomes one of the most powerful tools for protecting your brain's blood flow. We're talking about grapes. Yes, grapes. But not just any grapes. Dark, red, or purple grapes. Inside these grapes is a compound called resveratrol. You may have heard of it in connection with red wine, but the highest natural concentrations come from the skin of these grapes. Resveratrol has been extensively studied for its effects on blood vessels, particularly in the brain. Here's why that matters. Your brain depends on a constant supply of oxygen and nutrients delivered through tiny blood vessels. As you age, these vessels become less flexible, more prone to damage, and less efficient. When blood flow decreases, even slightly, your brain cells suffer. Memory weakens. Focus fades. Reaction time slows. In one study, older adults who consumed resveratrol showed improved blood flow to the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory formation. And better blood flow doesn't just support function. It supports repair. Let me share a story. A man named James, 62, had always been active, but he started noticing mental fatigue. Not physical tiredness, mental heaviness. Conversations required effort. Reading became slower. His doctor explained something important. Your brain isn't getting the same quality of blood flow it used to. Tarek made a simple addition. A small handful of dark grapes in the evening. Within a month, he described a shift. Not dramatic, but real. He could think more clearly. Sustain attention longer. Because when blood flow improves, your brain wakes up again. Now here's the risk you need to hear. After age 50, the risk of vascular-related cognitive decline increases sharply. This means your brain problems may not just come from neurons dying, but from your blood supply weakening. And if you ignore it, the decline accelerates. Grapes help protect those blood vessels. But here's the mistake most people make. They eat too many. Grapes contain natural sugars, and overconsumption can spike blood sugar, especially at night, which disrupts sleep and cancels the benefits. The solution? Portion control. About a small handful, no more. And here's the synergy tip. Pair grapes with a source of fiber or fat, like a few seeds or nuts, to slow sugar absorption and stabilize your system overnight. Now, before we go further, I want to pause for a moment. Because if you've made it this far, something about this is resonating with you. Maybe you've noticed the small changes, the forgotten names, the restless nights, the moments where your mind doesn't feel like it used to. That's not random, and it's not something you should ignore. If you're finding this helpful, take a second to like this video and subscribe. Not for me, but so you don't miss what comes next. Because number 2 is where things become urgent. This next fruit has been linked to something far more serious than memory loss. We're talking about actual protection against structural brain damage. And almost no one is using it correctly. Number 2, this fruit looks simple, ordinary, even boring. But inside, it contains one of the highest concentrations of a compound that directly protects your brain cells from dying under stress. We're talking about avocados. Now you might be thinking, this isn't even a fruit you'd consider before bed. But that's exactly why it's so powerful. Avocados are rich in monounsaturated fats, healthy fats that support blood vessel integrity and reduce inflammation in the brain. But more importantly, they contain lutein, a compound that accumulates in brain tissue and has been linked to improved cognitive function. In a controlled study, individuals with higher lutein levels showed better memory, faster processing speed, and stronger problem-solving abilities. And here's something even more important. These fats don't just support your brain. They stabilize your blood sugar throughout the night. Why does that matter? Because blood sugar spikes and crashes during sleep are one of the most overlooked causes of nighttime brain stress. When your blood sugar drops too low, your body releases stress hormones. These hormones disrupt deep sleep and interfere with your brain's repair cycle. Avocados help prevent that. Let me tell you about Lily, 65. She didn't have memory issues at first. Her problem was something she couldn't explain. She would wake up feeling anxious, restless, and mentally drained. Her doctor suspected nighttime blood sugar instability. He suggested a small portion of avocado in the evening. Within days, her sleep became more stable. Within weeks, her mornings felt different, calmer, clearer, because her brain was finally getting uninterrupted time to repair. Now here's the reality. As you age, your body becomes less efficient at regulating blood sugar. Even small imbalances at night can create stress inside the brain. And over time, that stress contributes to cell damage. Avocados act as a buffer. They create stability. But here's how to use them correctly. You don't need much. A few slices, about a quarter of an avocado, is enough. Eat it about an hour before bed, ideally not combined with heavy carbohydrates. And here's the synergy tip. Pair avocado with a pinch of sea salt or a few seeds. This enhances mineral balance and supports nerve function overnight. You're creating an environment where your brain can finally rest and repair. And now, we arrive at number 1. This is where everything changes. Because this final fruit doesn't just support your brain. It activates something most people don't even know exists. A powerful internal system that determines whether your brain heals or continues to decline. And what it does overnight may shock you. Now we come to number 1. And this is where everything you thought you knew about simple foods changes. Because this fruit doesn't just support your brain. It activates one of the most powerful repair mechanisms your body has, a system so critical that when it slows down, the risk of Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and rapid cognitive decline rises dramatically. We're talking about pomegranate. Yes, pomegranate, but not in the way most people use it. Inside each seed are compounds called punicalagins and ellagic acid, potent antioxidants that do something extraordinary inside your brain. They help activate a process known as autophagy. This is your brain's deep cleaning system. Not the basic cleanup that happens during sleep, but a deeper level of repair where damaged cells are broken down and recycled, where toxic proteins are dismantled, where malfunctioning components are removed before they can spread damage. When autophagy is working well, your brain stays resilient. When it slows down, damage accumulates silently. And here's the part most people never hear. After age 50, autophagy becomes less efficient. Your body simply doesn't clean itself the way it used to. That means every day, more waste builds up. Every night, less repair happens. And over time, that gap widens. Until symptoms appear. Let me tell you about someone who faced that reality. A man named Michael, 69. He had always been independent, strong-minded, the kind of person others relied on. But then small cracks began to show. He forgot appointments, repeated questions, lost track of conversations halfway through. At first, his family brushed it off as normal aging. But Michael noticed something deeper, a sense of slipping, of losing control. And that fear, it stayed with him. His doctor didn't offer a miracle, but he did suggest something backed by emerging research. Support your brain's natural repair systems. One of those tools, pomegranate. Michael began eating a small bowl of fresh pomegranate seeds each evening. Slowly, consistently. Weeks passed. Then something changed. Not overnight, not dramatically, but enough. He started remembering small details again, following conversations more easily, feeling present. For him, it wasn't about becoming young again. It was about holding on to who he was. That's what this is really about. Now let's go deeper into the science, because this matters. Studies have shown that compounds in pomegranate can reduce neuroinflammation, protect neurons from oxidative damage, and, most importantly, support mitochondrial function. Your mitochondria are the energy producers inside your cells. When they weaken, your brain literally runs out of fuel. And without energy, nothing works properly. Memory fails. Focus disappears. Processing slows. Pomegranate helps protect those mitochondria. But it also does something else, something even more critical. It supports the gut-brain connection. Inside your gut, pomegranate compounds are converted by bacteria into molecules called urolithins. These molecules have been shown to cross into the bloodstream and influence brain health directly. In other words, what starts in your gut ends up repairing your brain. Now here's the urgent truth you need to hear. Most people wait until symptoms become obvious, until memory loss interferes with daily life, until names, faces, and moments begin to disappear. By then, the damage is much harder to reverse. But right now, where you are, your brain is still responding, still adapting, still capable of repair. The difference between decline and preservation is what you do consistently starting tonight. Now let's talk about how to use this correctly, because this is where most people go wrong. You don't need large amounts. In fact, too much sugar, even from fruit, can disrupt sleep and create the very stress you're trying to avoid. What you need is precision. About half a cup of fresh pomegranate seeds, or a small glass of pure, unsweetened pomegranate juice. Take it about 60 to 90 minutes before bed. This timing allows the active compounds to circulate, to begin their work, just as your brain enters its repair phase. And here's the synergy that amplifies everything. Pair pomegranate with a calm, dark environment. Low light, no screens, minimal stimulation. Because your brain doesn't repair well in chaos. It repairs in stillness. Now imagine this. Instead of going to bed with inflammation, stress, and silent damage building, you go to bed with your brain supported, protected, actively repairing itself. Night after night. Small changes, compounding over time. That's how transformation happens. Not in a single moment, but in consistent, deliberate action. And here's the hope. Your brain is not as fragile as you've been led to believe. It's adaptable, responsive, capable of healing if you give it the right conditions. What you've seen today is not a list of random fruits. It's a strategy, a system, a way to align your habits with your biology. Blueberries to fight oxidative stress, bananas to restore sleep cycles, tart cherries to reduce inflammation, grapes to improve blood flow, avocados to stabilize and protect, and pomegranate to activate deep repair. Each one plays a role. Each one supports the others. And together, they create an environment where your brain can function the way it was designed to. But none of this matters if you don't act, because knowledge without action changes nothing. So here's what I want you to do. Tonight, not tomorrow, not next week, tonight. Choose one. Start simple. Maybe it's a handful of blueberries. Maybe it's a few slices of avocado. Maybe it's pomegranate. But make it intentional. Make it consistent. Because every night you delay is another night your brain goes without the support it needs. And over time, those nights add up. Now, if this opened your eyes, even a little, then take the next step. Subscribe to this channel. Because what you've learned today is just the beginning. There are patterns, habits, and hidden triggers affecting your brain every single day, and most people never see them until it's too late. Stay connected, stay informed, and most importantly, stay in control of your health. Your future self is built by what you do today. And tonight, you have a choice.